another Owen run. He's going to worry them again. It's a great run by Michael Owen, and he might finish it off. Oh, it's a wonderful goal! What an amazing...
Okay, welcome to another episode of The Front Three with myself, Big Will, Coach Dan, and the prodigy himself, AJ. Once again, AJ is still on the subs bench, but he will be back very, very soon. But of course, today you got myself and Coach. How you doing, Coach?
I'm very well, Big Will. I hope you're well. One thing the listeners don't know is it's been almost a week without speaking football with you.
I know, it's crazy.
That's a long time. Let's not let that happen again.
We can't. All right, so in today's episode, we're continuing our deep dive series, this time by looking at all things German football. And to help us is the chief reporter for Sport BILD in Germany, where he covers FC Bayern, Stuttgart, and of course the German national team. It is the one and only Tobias Altschaffl. How are you doing, Toby?
Hi, I'm doing good. Hello from Germany. Hello from Regensburg, Bavaria, close to Munich, so almost from Munich.
Awesome. See, we bring the very special guest to you here all across the globe on the Front Three. So let's take a look at last week's big match between FC Bayern and Borussia Dortmund, which of course ended 3-2 to the German champions. It was such an exciting, absorbing football game. So let's start there, Toby. What did you make of the game itself, and what were your immediate thoughts after the game?
I mean, it was a very exciting match, and we were all very happy how it was like going out to the world, and that the two teams showed a really good performance that evening. And I think it was, you can see that Dortmund has a very good, talented young team, but Bayern Munich is another level at the moment. If you see the players from Bayern, their self-confidence. If you see Robert Lewandowski, first half, he scores a goal, then video assistant referee says no goal, but he's not angry with the referee or anything. If you look at his eyes, he's like, okay, let's wait for another moment and to score the goal later, and then he scores against Mats Hummels. So it was a really good match, and it showed really the strengths of the two teams. Dortmund is good, but Bayern is a little bit better at the moment.
Absolutely. And I mean, watching the game myself, Dortmund had, the more clear-cut chances, but it just seems that Bayern just have this efficiency when it comes to, creating goal-scoring opportunities and then, of course, taking them. So just speaks about Bayern's ability just to be so efficient.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at Haaland from Dortmund, he's a very good striker, and he's maybe the next Lewandowski. He had a lot of chances, but he didn't score enough goals. So the whole match was one side, other side chances, and but at the end, it's Bayern Munich that the killer instinct they have. They always had it in German soccer, and I mean, if you look the last, 20, 30 years, it was often that people said, okay, Bayern Munich, they're playing bad, but they're scoring always a goal. And now they're playing good and they're scoring as well. So it's both sides now. Good playing and the killer instinct from Bayern Munich.
In terms of Borussia Dortmund, why do they seem to always sort of come up short when it comes to playing Bayern Munich, at least recently?
That's a good question. I mean, they lost a lot of their good players. They lost Lewandowski, they lost Götze. For some years, they lost Hummels to Bayern Munich. They were at the top in 2012 when they won the double in Germany, the German Cup and the German Championship. And at this point, there was Uli Hoeneß and the club of Bayern Munich. They were saying, okay, now we gotta destroy Borussia Dortmund, and now something has got to change. And then they started to buy the best players from Dortmund, and then it turned around. And from 2013 on, Bayern won every year German championship, and every year self-confidence got more. Of course, money is more, and they were growing, and they have the chance to keep the best players. So they don't have to sell the good players. But on the other hand, Dortmund, of course, they have always a very talented team. But when it comes to a really top level, they have to sell the players. They had to sell Aubameyang. They had to sell Dembele. So that's their problem. And so they have young players, and they are not so self-confident, and they don't score the goals in the most important moments.
Do you think it's going to just take a couple of years for them to gain that experience, gain that composure, and then they'll be able to, when it comes to these big games, take their chances and eventually beat Bayern? Not just in this game, but of course, eventually win the league again.
The problem is that in Dortmund, a team can't grow the same way as at Bayern, because they are together for some time, 1 season, 2 seasons, but then the players leave the club. So that's always the problem from Dortmund. To build up a team without having other clubs like Bayern or like Real Madrid or Arsenal or some teams buying their best players. So that's always the problem from Dortmund in Germany, and that's the problem since 2012.
Definitely. And then, Coach Dan, what did you make, firstly, in terms of the game over the weekend, and then just in terms of what Dortmund could do to, surpass Bayern?
It seems like it's almost 6 or 7 months we were having a conversation, because after when things got eased in lockdown, one of the games we covered were Dortmund against Bayern Munich, wasn't it? And that game was a narrow goal, narrow scoreline, where Kimmich scored that goal, I think, and I said I thought it was a cross and not for a goal, but anyhow they won the game. I think the only positive, right, for Dortmund to take is that when those two play each other, they're closing the gap, right? In the sense that it's not like 5-0 or 4-0, right? It was 1-0, now it's 3-2, I believe it was. Yeah. So I suppose they can keep their heads up, keeping, I mean, when you have that, when you consider when all things are considered, the only thing, so like hearing Toby speak, right, is that, look, we have to settle on something. If Dortmund are going to build their machine by giving their best players to the best team in that league, to the team that they're trying to compete with, right, then there's no way they're going to close the gap in the sense of winning trophies and challenging them week in and week out, right, for the Bundesliga. So that aside, and if that is the case, then they need to understand, or maybe they do understand, we just don't know, that maybe they're not playing to win the league. Maybe they're just playing to keep up with Bayern Munich as to claiming the second spot position, right? And if that's the case, it's very unambitious from them, and it's sad because they do have the potential to challenge, because when Jurgen Klopp was there, they done excellent. So that's something that I suppose there needs to be a clarification on, because you can't keep selling your best players to your most adverse competitors. You can't win tournaments like that. You see what I mean? You can't win the league doing that. And it's quite bizarre, because these are very good footballers, like Mats Hummels, Lewandowski, Götze. When he moved to Bayern Munich, he was one of the best, in the league. So they could have sold them elsewhere and even got more money than they did, because these players went for peanuts and some of them for free, I believe. So it's quite bizarre. You don't release that. They sold Aubameyang for 56 million and he was 29 years old to Arsenal. Right? Imagine how much they could have sold Lewandowski to Real Madrid or Barcelona for, or even Götze or Mats Hummels. So I've never really understand the way they do their business, and hopefully with the talent they have in the young players now, they can find a way to keep them at the club, because they've got to come up with a better business plan that forces these players to stay. Otherwise, Bayern Munich will keep being Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I mean, Bayern Munich has the advantage that they always see the players from Dortmund very early, and they can contact them or their agents very early. So, for example, Lewandowski, it was always clear his next step would be Bayern Munich. And at a point where maybe Real Madrid or Barcelona were looking at Lewandowski and trying to buy him, everything was already done and it was made, and it was clear that he would go to Bayern Munich. So Bayern Munich is doing a good job. Of course, it's the easiest way for them to get players, but they look at Dortmund, they see the players, they see the very young players, and then they grab them and they get them. So that's not too easy for Dortmund to say, now we sell them to Barcelona or wherever for big money, because Bayern Munich is always very fast.
Mm. So, Toby, does that mean that Haaland is destined to go to Bayern in the next few years?
Yeah, no, I was talking and thinking about this today, and there's I call it like a 2 or 3 year problem for Bayern Munich, because when you look at Lewandowski, he's doing so good and he's feeling really in top shape. He's doing everything to keep his body in shape. And when I talk to him, he tells me, I'm going to play for 4 or 5 more years. And that's now the problem for Bayern Munich with Erling Haaland, because he played for Salzburg. That's just next to Munich. And it was like, okay, having the successor of Lewandowski next door. But you need to have Haaland on the pitch right now. You can't pack him into ice and wait for 3 or 4 years and then let him out, because there's only one position in the system of Bayern Munich for a striker, and that's Lewandowski's position. And Haaland is good, but Lewandowski is better. And now there was no chance to buy Haaland right now, because he needs matches and he needs to practice. And if Lewandowski is leaving in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, then I'm very sure Haaland is at Real Madrid, or one of the biggest clubs in the world, and Bayern Munich can't say anymore the thing like, okay, now we get the successor very easily for little money, because then Haaland is too expensive for Bayern Munich to buy.
I wanted to ask Toby, because he mentioned how Bayern Munich seems to, for the lack of better words, like poach the Dortmund players at early age or from the offset. And I just wanted to find out, is that something that is allowed in the German league? Because clearly that wouldn't be something that, people take lightly in the English league, where, I don't know, let's say Chelsea start like nicking or going after, let's say, Southampton youth before they even get to that age, or when they keep a close eye to like their contract come to an end and stuff like that. Is that something that's allowed in the German league? And if not, is it just maybe Bayern is too much of a powerhouse for anyone to contend with?
First thing, I was saying at the first moment, Bayern is contacting the players, but then I was correcting myself, and of course they're not allowed to talk to the players half a year before end of the contract. They can only talk to the agents, and of course we have the same rules, or almost the same rules, like in England. Talking to young players is not allowed. But if you look at Lewandowski, he was coming to Dortmund in the age of, I don't know, 21 or 22 years. So there was no problem with the age. And talking to young players, of course, it's a market where everyone wants to get them. But if we talk about the players Dortmund is losing to Bayern, it's not about the kids in 16 or 17 years. It's normally, if you look at Götze, if you look at Lewandowski, it's 22, 23 years of age.
Okay. No, thanks for clearing that up for me.
And then another Dortmund player I want us to look at is Jadon Sancho. So, of course, all summer he was linked with Manchester United, but even if you look at how he started the season, he hasn't started the season off in the greatest form. So just talk to us about his development. Obviously, he's had a fantastic 2 years. This year, not as great. What do you make of him and his future?
I think it was very close in the summer transfer window that he moves to Manchester United, but that didn't work. And he was doing an excellent, outstanding job in Bundesliga. This season, he's not really in shape. He played at the Classico at the Bayern Munich Borussia Dortmund match. Not good. He was not good at all. And I think even at the end of the last season, he had a problem to really focus and concentrate on Dortmund, because that the problem we're talking about, that there is a player knowing he's in a club that is good for his development and good for getting on the next stage, but it's not the club to win the big titles. And I think when this comes into the mind of a player like Sancho, then maybe he's only trying to come to another club and not giving everything for Dortmund. I think now it's getting better, even if he doesn't play very good at the moment. But as I hear from my colleagues in Dortmund, he has changed his mind a little bit. But the problem last season, or at the end of last season, was like he wants to do the next step, but Dortmund is saying no. And then at the beginning of this season, Manchester United was very close, and Dortmund said again no, or they said only 120 million euros or no. And then There was no deal, and it's not easy for a young player to handle with this and to understand what's going on.
And are you quite impressed with the way, obviously, Borussia Dortmund were able to stick to their guns? They said, if unless you meet this asking price, we're not selling him. So I guess that shows how well or how good the club is in terms of sticking to its guns and maintaining its stance.
I think especially in times of COVID-19 or Corona, it's really hard for Borussia Dortmund to say this, but they were saying, no, we want this price, this money, and if you don't pay, we don't let him go. And of course, that's a sign to other clubs. When they want this money and then they sell him for less, it's always a problem in the next negotiations with other players. So it was important for Borussia Dortmund to say, we want this, and if we don't get this, we won't sell the player.
Absolutely. Coach, Jadon Sancho, what are your thoughts?
I think on one of our podcasts I made it clear my thoughts on, in the sense that I think it's better for his career and his overall sort of like level he can get if he stays at Borussia Dortmund, right? Because look, Toby just mentioned how and yourself as well, confirming that he's not started the season off great, right? And
exactly.
The amount of money that, right? So sorry, if I just start again, I just thought it would be good for him if he stayed at Bayern Munich. I'm sorry, at Borussia Dortmund, simply because I think the pressures on him isn't that much. So, like yourself and Toby rightly mentioned, right, that he's not started off the season as well as they would have hoped him to. Can you imagine him doing that at Manchester United right now? With Manchester United seems to be in the eye of the media every time because they win, then they lose. They go to Paris Saint-Germain, put on a great game, then they come and lose to Arsenal at the Old Trafford, and it seems like they're in crisis and everything. I just feel like it wouldn't have been a good thing for, what is he, like 2021? It wouldn't have been a good thing for him to be in that Manchester United team right now. You see what has become of Paul Pogba in that Manchester United team. He's next to nothing really with that, with sort of like how he imposes himself in the games and in the whole team as an overall. Like you see United now, they can get on without Pogba being in the team, right? And that's crazy to say because he's a great talent. Of course, we know what he can bring, but this is some of the things, right, that can happen to players when the media goes after them. They lose their confidence, which then leads to like their form dropping and stuff like that. He is so young. He's so young and needs to be playing the game with no pressure at all. His numbers at Borussia Dortmund is excellent. And that sometimes, I feel like sometimes we think it's because the players are so good. And of course they are good to be hitting those numbers, but sometimes it's the way the manager's playing the game to go through you as an individual. That's why your numbers are so high. Perhaps he goes to Manchester United. I don't think he will be the greatest player at Manchester United right now, and I don't think he will make a big difference to them. I know people will disagree, but it's just the nature of what it means to play at Manchester United, and I don't think it's good for him as a 20-year-old to go there right now. So as for me, Dortmund done well, and then they did well to keep him. But then I'm thinking, listen, United would have paid like 100 million or something for him. I can't believe they rejected that. I just can't believe that. That's a lot of money for a 20-year-old that, he's had 2 good seasons, but you never know what his career is going to turn out to be, You just hope that he can maintain that level for a long period of time. But 100 million is a lot of money to turn down.
Absolutely. And then, Toby, is there pressure on the Dortmund coach if they don't do well this season? Do you think he stays past the summer?
I think the chance is very, very little that Lucien Favre will stay after this season, because from the beginning on, it was like there was no big coach for them that they could get, and then they took Favre, and they are not really happy with him. But they say, okay, if there is no better option, we take Favre. But it's always like the team or the club is in a shadow, and there is a dark shadow on the club, and I think the chance is very, very little. Only if they can't get a better solution, Lucien Favre will stay. But we reported that they want to have Julian Nagelsmann from Leipzig and Marco Rose from Borussia Mönchengladbach, two very talented, very good German coaches who are, I don't know, fitting good to the team because it's a young, talented team and they're young coaches. So if they can get one of those two coaches, Lucien Favre won't be the coach anymore, and it's a very difficult, very bad situation for the whole club.
Absolutely, I'm sure Coach Dan, you'll love that job.
I mean, perhaps I should send them my CV very soon.
Yeah, send it to Toby and he'll send it to them.
Oh yeah, that's excellent. I got a link in Toby. That's excellent. I just wanted to mention a quick thing. I know. Like 6-7 months ago, again, Bill, I was mentioning how. Look, I don't obviously have us nowhere near the knowledge of Toby regarding the German league, but I don't think like. I've never thought this anyway. I don't think the manager's like the reason why they're not getting to that next step. I think the reason is the fact that they've got a very young team. When you look at their team, they've got a very young team. I know, you take out the Marco Reus, you take out Mats Hummels and Piszczek and those lot, yeah. They've got a very young team. And a lot of these players have not won anything yet, and some of them are even coming from youth football. Do you see what I mean? Bayern Munich have a team that's been winning for years. Look, they got Kingsley Coman. The age of 24, he's won like nine titles or 8 titles in a row.
Yeah,
that is crazy. And it's just sad that he finds himself against such a team as Bayern Munich. And I don't think, like, even if he was to leave, I don't think like it should be a little dent in his career. Julian Favre, because I think he's done really good with that team. And Dortmund can only get better with players like Haaland, Reina. They've got we're just talking about Jadon Sancho. They just got so many good players coming through youth wise, and anyone that comes in, I don't see how they're gonna do anything different to challenge Bayern Munich, if you get what I mean. Unless they bring in a few heavy hitters and stuff like that. I don't know who's going to come in and do that big of a difference. And I know, and in my opinion, I think like Leipzig are better challengers to Bayern Munich than Dortmund are. So it would be quite bizarre for me as well if Nagelsmann was to leave Leipzig and go to Borussia Dortmund. But who knows? Money speaks, huh?
Definitely. Then, Toby, just back to Bayern Munich then. A few of the players, let's talk about David Alaba. Is he staying or is he going?
That's the question everybody's asking me. Every friend, everybody, even in my family, always asking, what is Alaba going to do?
Yeah.
I think there is still no decision made. We had this situation where Bayern said, okay, there is no offer anymore, and Herbert Heiner, the president, was very angry. And then there's the problem with Pini Zahavi, the agent you know, of course, and who wants a lot of money for Alaba. But if you ask me, David Alaba, he's from Austria. He was 16 years old when he came to Bayern Munich. He can now be the player winning most championships in the history of Bayern Munich, of this great big club. And if you talk to Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, the CEO, he says the door is still open, and that means if the agents and his dad, who is another agent, or who is like the second agent, if they make one step in the direction of Bayern Munich, I think there will be very fast an offer back on the table, and then they can find a solution. Because even if there is no transfer fee for Alaba, it's in COVID times, it's not easy to pay the money he wants to have. And he's getting good money at Bayern Munich. He's very popular with the fans, and he's like a club legend right now. And he can be one of the biggest players in club's history. So, to my opinion, if both sides calm down, decide maybe after Christmas, after the calm, good time to talk together, to come together and talk again, there can be a solution, and Alaba can stay in Munich.
And then Jerome Boateng, I know this morning it's been reported by a newspaper that they're not going to give him a new contract.
Yeah, that's right. Boateng has been a player for a long time at Bayern Munich, but it was the last 2 or 3 years. Every year they want to sell him, they don't want to sell him. He gets a contract, he gets no contract. And now I think the club was very... they made their decision very early and said, okay, this is the last year of Jerome Boateng, and they want to give the space to younger players, and the decision is made. Boateng is not happy about it, and Hansi Flick is not happy about this as well, because he wants a player to be top motivated, and Boateng now, of course, is angry and is not happy about the situation. So it will be very interesting how Bayern Munich and how Hansi Flick is handling this situation, because his two defenders in the center, Alaba and Boateng, are in a trouble situation. So that's very interesting, and maybe it's creating more excitement in Bundesliga again.
Yeah, and then I know Boateng is someone that tends to divide opinion. People don't think he's that good. Others, rate him a bit more than others. Where do you stand on Jerome Boateng and his quality as a defender?
If he is fit, he is on the top level. You can see this in the Champions League tournament in Lisboa, where he was playing really good. He often had muscle problems, but at the moment he's fit, and then he can play at Bayern Munich at the top level. If he's getting injured, coming back, that was the problem during the last years. But now for month or since Hansi Flick came to Bayern Munich, and he at the beginning said, okay, you are one of my key players, and then he got self-confident, he got fit, and that's now his form and his body at the moment. That's perfect, and now he's a Bayern Munich player.
And then Coach Dan, is Boateng underrated, overrated? Going back to one of our favorite debates.
I think there was a period in time where he was considered one of the best defenders in the world. If you ask me about that, I don't think he's ever been the best in his position. I can never say that with my chest. No way. But he's clearly a very good defender. He's been at Bayern Munich for a long time, and he hasn't been like a player that's on the fringes. He's been one of the leaders in that team. So clearly he's got good talent and everything like that. I think he's, in football, when you hit 30 and that, you're old and stuff like that. But when you consider it, he should be probably playing the best in his football career, if you get what I mean. Like between the ages of 30 to 34, 5, he should be playing some of the best football. I don't know. Like Toby said, perhaps with this injury stuff, maybe he might need to go elsewhere, To be fair as well, he's won with Bayern Munich. I don't know what else he's going to stay there for, honestly. Apart from, the fact that I'm comfortable, maybe try and get some legendary status and stuff like that. But, you got Serie A. They're always looking to take on retirement. They're always looking to take on players that are in the latter stages of their career. And to be fair, he's still got a point to prove in England. He's still got a point to prove in England. So who knows? Maybe he might catch a train over here.
Yeah, hopefully to North London, maybe.
To Arsenal?
Yeah.
You
haven't they got enough defenders?
11.
You can make a whole team.
Just on the Alaba situation, this whole thing must be a joke. It has to be. I don't understand how you could even leave Alaba this close to the expiration of his contract. The kid is so good. I call him a kid. He's just so good, and it's crazy because I know, like Davies are just shut up on the scene that he's even been shifted into centre back. But when Bayern Munich really needed a centre back, he was humble enough to even step in there. You see what I mean? So I think he's such a big part of the team, and Toby's already mentioned like how popular he is and everything. I don't know. They've got to find a solution, because if not, I know they're big European clubs with their mouths wide open waiting to snatch him up.
And then in terms of the Bundesliga itself, Toby, who do you think is going to run Bayern closest? Would it be Dortmund, or do you think RB Leipzig is going to run them closer?
I think Dortmund, because Leipzig has the problem that Timo Werner is now playing at Chelsea, and they don't have the striker qualities as they had the last years. So I think Dortmund is a little bit better than Leipzig at the moment, but Julian Nagelsmann is a really great coach, and they have young players as well as Dortmund, and they can play a really good role in Bundesliga this season. And don't forget Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Oh yes,
they are doing very good at Champions League, and they also got two strikers, Thuram and Plea, who are very good, and they got Florian Neuhaus, who is maybe the next big star in Germany, because he's a great midfielder. He will have a bright future, maybe going to Bayern Munich or another big club. So Gladbach is good as well. And
then turning our attention to a couple of German players who are now playing in the Premier League, Timo Werner and of course Kai Havertz, both playing for Chelsea. What have you made of their start to the season for Chelsea, and what do you think lies ahead in terms of how well they can progress as time goes on in the Premier League?
I think both players have to learn at the Premier League, but Timo Werner only needed some matches, and now he's doing very good, I guess, scoring a lot of goals. And Kai Havertz, I mean, he's very young, and he needs to get the body for Premier League. His technique is outstanding. His best technique in Bundesliga, together with Thiago last season, who is now as well at Premier League. So all the players doing good at Bundesliga, going to your league, but that's no problem. And I was talking to Kai Havertz last week, and because a lot of big clubs wanted to buy him, and then he told me something very interesting, because he said winning a title with Chelsea is worth more than winning titles with other clubs. So he, as well as Timo Werner, sees the project at Chelsea, and they are both comparing it with Liverpool, because when you look back at Liverpool before the time of Jurgen Klopp, they were not winning everything, and then step by step, like going on second place, winning, or going to the final of EuroLeague, going to final of Champions League, losing it, and finally winning it. And they want to make the same way with Chelsea, both players.
Coach?
Well, just a quick thing on Timo Werner. So I put him in my fantasy team. He started off slow. I took him out, and now he's scoring goals again. Oh my! You know what? But I think they've started just as we hoped they would, right?
Yeah.
Timo Werner, it took him a while, but he's got going because he's got pure quality, and as he, keeps playing and stuff like that, we're going to see more of what we saw in the Bundesliga and in Champions League. I think Kai Havertz as well. Kai Havertz got great potential. You know where I stand with the fact that they spent such amount of money on him. I don't think they needed to, but listen, in years to come, he's going to be a big part of that team. It's crazy to even hear what Toby said, in the fact that he says to win the title with Chelsea, it costs more than means more than elsewhere. I find that that's an impressive thing for him to say, and he's been there for a couple of months. So it tells you sort of like the project they're trying to build there, and the ambition of the club and everything like that. They're going to play a big part in the years coming, whether with Lampard or without him. So yeah, keep sending your German players over. We love
them. One German player we have to speak a little bit about is Ozil. Toby, what do you make of his situation at Arsenal?
That's a
really
long
hard
question. Yeah, it takes really a lot of time. But I think he won't make ever a match again for Arsenal. But that's not very surprising. He has now his very good contract. He's getting the good money, and after this season, he's saying goodbye to Premier League. I think he sees his future in Turkey, because he bought a big house in Istanbul, and wants to go there. But he is so talented and gifted, and he has such good passing abilities and very good technique, and he was doing a good job. But now I don't know what went wrong and where he lost motivation or whatever. But there is not really that big link to Germany anymore. Of course, he's a German national player, but we in Germany, we see his situation, and I think a lot of people think, okay, he had such big possibilities. Okay, of course, he's world champion with Germany, but that was in 2014, and afterwards there happened nothing than big scandals and problems and everything. So Özil, it's a very hard, difficult topic in Germany.
Yeah, go on, coach.
With Ozil, it's look at the irony. For years, right? For years in the Premier League and at Arsenal, they thought Ozil needed a holding defender behind him, and he's gonna flourish at Arsenal. Finally, after many years, insert they got arguably one of the best in the business, and Ozil can't play with them. that is just, what kind of mess is that, man?
Yeah.
I hope the best for him going forward, Mr. Ozil.
Absolutely. And then, Toby, let's talk a bit about the German national team then. Looking ahead to the Euros next year, I mean, you got players like Havertz, Sane, Werner, who we've talked about, and other young players as well, Gnabry. What are your prospects for Germany in the Euros next year?
So there are two big topics for German national team at the moment. First big problem is we don't have a defense. So we have very, very talented players in the offense, but the defense is the really big problem because you don't have players with a lot of experience. You don't have like the same players playing together in many matches. Jogi Löw is always changing the team. And the other big topic is Müller, Hummels, Boateng, the three players. Jogi Löw said in March 2019 goodbye, and they kicked them out of the national team. And now Müller played the best season of his life. Hummels is the key player in Dortmund. Boateng, we were just talking about him. He's in excellent shape. So the discussion is getting bigger and bigger in Germany. And Jogi Löw still says, no, there is no way, and we want to give the young players the chance to develop. But on the other hand, he's saying to Mario Götze, who is now playing for PSV Eindhoven after his first 3 or 4 matches where he's doing good, the door is open for him. And Götze is 28 and Müller is 30, so there's no big difference. And that's... With every match Germany is not winning or is not playing good, the discussion is getting bigger and bigger. And I'm very excited how it's going to be. And if Löw is going to be on this way and saying there is no way for them to come back, or I know that some players now playing in the national team because they want their perspective and they want the best team for Euro next year. And they are thinking maybe Löw should change his mind and give them a chance again because they are so good and the team needs experience, especially in the defense. So I don't know what he's going to do, but there is a lot of discussion and a lot of topics from media going to be.
Definitely. Coach, what do you make of Jogi Löw not, saying goodbye to the Hummels, Mullers and Boateng? Do you think that's a good decision, or do you think eventually he's going to have to scale back?
Well, I don't know how you keep Thomas Muller off your team. He's Thomas Muller is Thomas Muller, man. He's got to be playing football.
Yeah.
Both international. I just love the guy. I don't know why. He looks like the most unserious footballer ever I've seen, but he's so good, good. And wasn't he like their top goal scorer in the previous World Cup to 2018 or something? So he's clearly got a lot of talent, and he's still got a lot to offer at the age that he's at right now. So perhaps they should still consider him. And you're leaving out Hummels and Boateng, and you don't have defense. That's crazy as well. But he must have something. He's the national coach, right? So he's probably looking at, I don't know, some individuals that we're not quite aware of, but those are very big names for you to leave out. And if, the tournament don't go as people want it to, there will be questions again. I think that the 2018 World Cup did them a big damage. I think that there was a lot of backlash, and so that's caused them to make a lot of changes that might not necessarily be be appropriate in especially looking at the back and stuff like that. But there's a name that's been around for a long time. Is it Jonathan Tah? I believe his name is, and Nicholas Sully. A year ago or something like that, I would have probably thought they would have established themselves as the main centre backs for Germany. But Sully's had some trouble with injuries, and Jonathan, I don't know what's been going on with him, but those two, they've got to step up now, man. They've got to show themselves, to be leaders of that team, and the tournament is just around the corner, so he needs to sort that out. They just seem to miss. They just seem to miss, leadership at the back. But going forward, who wouldn't love to have Leroy Sané and Gnabry in their team?
Absolutely. And then Toby, our final question: what is the most memorable match you have ever attended live?
Oh, that's a very.
I put you on the spot.
A very good question.
What a question! I wasn't even expecting that one.
I mean, the first two coming into my mind, of course, the Wembley final, Dortmund against Bayern in 2013.
Yeah.
But I think the first one, which was coming into my mind, was when Arjen Robben scored at Old Trafford the goal after the corner of Frank Ribéry at Champions League quarterfinals. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I was sitting in Old Trafford, like having the view directly from Robben shooting it next to Van der Sar into the goal, and this goal was just so remarkable and so outstanding. I will always remember it.
Lovely, I love it. And then, Coach, I know you got a last question as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear Toby's thinking on this. What's happening to Schalke? They seem to be every year declining, and it's a shame because they've created some of Bayern Munich's greatest players right now anyway. So what's going on with Schalke exactly?
So to be honest, when I was asked at the beginning of the season, I put Schalke on place number 18, so last place in Bundesliga, because they had a lot of problems with their coach Wagner and the team, and of course with money. So the team is getting worse year after year, and the problem of Schalke is they have the old organization in Germany, so there is nobody coming in giving money. It's difficult to explain, but they have no people from outside coming into the club and giving money. The club is still in the hands of the members at Schalke 04. So that's really a difficult building of the club, and as long as the members of the club say we don't want any investor or anybody from outside giving money to the club, they're going down, and I think they will have big problems to stay in Bundesliga this season.
Wow,
it's a shame.
Okay, so that does it for another episode of the Front Three with myself, Big Will, Coach Dan, and Toby. Make sure you tune in again next week for another episode of the Front Three. Have a good evening.